So, um, I guess I want to start with I was right. It's not top tier, but it's not bottom tier. It just it's another Leatherface movie. It
You know, yeah, I read your little your write up review, and it was good. I mean, I liked it. Your write up review. It. You know what's interesting is like I want to get a full picture of what was going on, the reshoots that maybe they did. Like when they did that test audiences and they freaked out. Then with everything going on right now, they just decided to sell it to Netflix, which I don't blame them at all. I mean, you know what I mean? It's one of those, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. Like if somebody's guaranteeing you money, I don't blame them for giving it to Netflix. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a
okay.
gamble for how much it's been mishandled, but I want to know how much was changed from the rewrites. Like I want to know the original vision. I want to know if it was a lot thicker. I want to know how much was how if it was longer.
I
I'm just kind of curious what happened.
I think it did have. So I know that the original directors and the name is blanking on me, and I don't know why because they're
Today Alvarez,
God.
producer.
Yes, yes, the Alvarez. They walked when the studio started pushing in on the project more and more and more. So my guess is they had completely different visions for what was going to happen, and we got closer to what the studio wanted. Now, that being said, who we got in charge of this, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I have heard enough to know that Don't Breathe 2 redeems the character, which to me you can't redeem that. Like
Right.
you just can't. So I had low expectations going in between the Netflix, the bad test screenings, the everything. I was just like, all right, so it's gonna rank in the bottom. Like it's not gonna do great. The best I'm hoping for is some cool kills, cool shot. I didn't like the look of Leatherface at all. And then when I watched the movie, I was pleasantly surprised, but not terribly impressed. Like my expectations were low enough that I had a good time. If I would have been like, oh, I'm expecting the greatest thing since the original, I would be severely disappointed. So, yeah, yeah,
Jabari says, "Say it." Say what?
saw it.
Oh, saw
He
it. I'm
said
sorry.
saw.
Your checkerboard is blending into the words. I couldn't see. My fault.
Yeah, it I don't know. How do we want to tackle this? Because
Jabari, what do you think? Is it high, low, or middle for you in the franchise, or like did you enjoy it, hate it, or it's just whatever? The nice thing is it was free, right? I mean with
yeah,
your Netflix subscription, it was free. So and it's short. If you hated it, you weren't in there very long. At least this movie didn't take 2.5 hours to to make you just sit there and hate the dang thing. I wonder if
yeah.
sometimes like with Halloween 2, 1981, if you like deleted some of that or sped up some of the middle section, I think it would raise up a lot higher for a lot more people because there is a slow. It's like Leatherface behind you. There's some slow
Yeah.
freaking moments. I think if you just sped it up a little bit, people would like it a lot more, but it'd be more memorable as well.
I mean, it did. I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't see where people hated it. Like, so, okay, there's some stuff like everybody. There's two sides of this argument. One is saying that the movie is extremely woke, and the other saying that the movie is extremely anti-woke. And honestly, what I think it is somebody's like, hey, these are the two sides of the world that we live in right now, and they just happen to put characters from those two ends of the world in the same movie. That's it. That I don't think it was necessarily saying one way or the other. The cancel culture thing was a joke, and it was hilarious. I don't care. I laughed when in the bus. Like, I don't think it was meant to be woke. I don't think it was meant to be anti-woke. I think it was just like you have characters that are young, that are more on the left side of things, and then you had Richter more on the right side of things, and then you had the older family living in that house. It just it wasn't. I just it's the world we live in. Everybody's going to have something. I mean, John and I have had conversations, and we don't always see eye to eye on things, but we're able to talk, work it out. You know, like it just. I think that's the problem. Is everybody's trying to use modern movies as a political platform, one way or the other, and they're not able to just see that. Oh, both of these characters are likely to exist in today's world. That that's it.
Yeah, I'm with Jabari where he's saying get your politics out of my movie, and I do agree with that for the most part. It's not to get weird or anything else like that, but it's all in how it's handled. Sometimes, to some people it's handled poorly. Some people it's like, no, I get it, but it's like, is it subtle enough? Does it fit organically in the story? Does it work for what they're going for? And I think it hits you hard in this movie. I mean, there's no question. It's not beating around the bush. But I think the movie also presents both sides that are, oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is like, I think it presents both sides very well. I mean, I would think it's more anti-woke than it is woke, but I'll get into that in a second. I think that, for the woke people, the younger generation that want to go in and gentrify the area, they wanted good things, right? They wanted a safe environment. They wanted to where they could, go in and clean up the town, bring new life to it. I think they wanted good things. But then, if it's handled poorly, it can also be, a villain-esque side of it, right? I mean, because it was handled poorly, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the other side too. There's a bit of a gun control side. It actually brings in the gal from a school shooting, which we don't see very often, which I thought that was kind of a cool twist. Lila, yeah.
Lila.
And I thought that was kind of not a twist, but it's a cool character, a piece of the character I liked. I think that the Richter side of it, probably ex-military or whatever, having the gun, them coming together over it, like he gets her pain and he understands that, but it doesn't exactly change him. They can connect and yeah.
This scene. So when we first met Richter, I was like, okay, this line seems forced. I don't think any smart person in the middle of nowhere in their Tesla at a gas station would call out some dude holding a pistol. Like that was stupid. And that was the older sister. I can't remember her name right now. But when Richter actually sits down with Lila, and it's not a long, drawn-out scene, because, again, this is a short runtime movie. They're trying to jam-pack what they want in it. When they sat down, the look on his face, you could tell that he understood. And the look on her face, you could see that she was curious. She wanted to know. She wasn't dismissing a gun. She was just like curious what it was like to hold one. That was that. She didn't hold the ill will, the older sister did. And that probably came out of a protective aspect because her little sister was involved in a school shooting, which is natural. Like, you would want to protect your younger sibling if they were the victim of a school shooting. Like, it just, I mean,
right.
Again,
well, and, like, she drops this gun that's probably what, I don't know, it's been a while since I'm from a small town where we shot things a lot, but gun prices and everything else are crazy, but she drops that gun hard, and that's probably at least a $2,000 gun, you know what I mean? I thought, holy cow, and he didn't even flinch. Like, he totally understood. He respected her emotions and what she was going through right then and there. It wasn't about him anymore. He really got the depth of the issue that was happening in that scene, and I just thought it was really well played out. I thought, the thing on the bus, it's played for laughs. Yes. It is saying something, but it's played for laughs.
Yeah. And I think this is what makes me mad about people throwing the it's woke or anti-woke with that. Yeah, the Confederate flag, as soon as I saw it up, I'm like, yeah, they're going to have to rip that down, and that's going to be the story, how the story kicks off. But I just... Well,
and I get that. I mean,
it was also a small town in Texas. Like,
right.
if you...
There's two things. Number one, number one, it is something where, depending on where you're at, and especially if you're bringing in people like-minded like you that don't like that kind of stuff, I get that. But I mean, there's a statue in the middle of the town with a Civil War general that's probably from the South, right in the middle of the town. You can't hide from that. You're just gonna
Probably.
you care about this broke down flag, but you don't care about that. But and the second thing is that in Texas, they're very proud to be Texans. I don't really think the Confederate flag is a big deal down there. I've been to Georgia and a couple other southern states. I've been to Texas once and don't remember a whole lot of that. I just remember more of like Texas pride. But I mean, I once again, I get it, but it also shows the overreaction. It also shows that it adds the frustration that wasn't handled well when he goes and he talks it. Like you're in somebody else's house. You are uprooting her. She's obviously old. She might not all be there, right? And he was being rude the whole time, and then just, I mean, and she's old fashioned. We can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
She's rude. She wasn't a great person by any means at all. Like it's a crappy situation, and I think that's why I liked the older sister's kind of like, she realized that there shouldn't be a Confederate flag, and B, they shouldn't uproot her out of the home if it is still in fact her home. That was a very big deal. So that character took both sides, and that made sense.
Even if it wasn't her home anymore, if she's confused, she's an old lady, she's carrying around an oxygen tank. She offers you, sweet tea when you come in through the door. Like, you can have a heart, even if she's in the wrong. Like, man, like, holy cow, I don't know. I just thought, like, even if she's in the wrong, holy cow, it's all about the Texas flag. Confederate love was more other stuff. See, that's what I got that vibe too, just from like the little bit of knowledge I have from Texas, the one time I was there, and from the other states I've been in too. I thought that was a little on the nose, but it didn't kill the movie. There's a lot of things in this movie that are, well, hold on, Caleb, hold on. I know how you feel now. I've read your written review. Now I've heard it's middle of the road. Where do you think I land on this? Because usually I'm fairly strong about stuff.
I don't think you think it's the best by any means, but I also don't believe that you think it's the absolute turd that was like 2017. I think it falls lower tier for you, but I think you also enjoyed the kills.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get into it, and then we're just going to go nuts from here. We're going to talk about the whole movie, and then, really, I think we covered the political stuff for the most part.
Real quick, I want to talk about the movie. I want to talk about Leatherface himself, and we have got to talk about the bus scene, like, most definitely. But I kind of want to break up Leatherface into his own thing, because there's so much to say about right and wrong with that character himself in the movie, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, let me say how I feel about it, and then we'll do the spoiler free, and then we'll just go nuts with the spoilers. But Deb says, want to know if we need to watch all the others before we can see this or enough. As long as you've seen the first movie, as long as you've seen the first movie, you're good to go. It doesn't really have a whole lot of nods to anything else in the franchise, and I would say just go for it. I got a lot to say.
I got a lot to say about Leatherface. Yeah, dude,
let's get into it.
So much to say.
Let's get into it, because I want to talk about where this falls for me and why. And then we're going to get into the spoiler free, and then we're going to just rock and roll in all the dirty spoilers. So where this thing falls for me, now, granted, I'm in the honeymoon phase with this. I'm knee-jerk reaction. This is in the top tier for me. I cannot tell you how much I had fun with this freaking movie. I love Leatherface 2022, and it feels so good to say it. I freaking love this movie. For all of its faults, for every dumb thing that happens, I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. I freaking love this movie.
There's so few people I see saying that. Most of what I see is either it's okay or it's the worst movie I've ever seen ever, and that same person is like Halloween Kills is the best movie I've ever seen ever, which does not make sense, because this movie, and I know I'm on the opposite spectrum of that, this movie is to Texas Chainsaw Massacre what Halloween Kills is to the original Halloween, in a way. And I'll get to that when I get to Leatherface. But it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I get what things don't work in the movie. I get what things are a little bit much. But with the runtime, the cinematography, the music that was used, the Leatherface himself, the small group, the after credits scene, it was a good fun time that I didn't have to take very seriously. And I am really looking forward to the physical media release. I'm hoping for a steelbook. I I hope Netflix releases it physical media
See,
because I need that.
uh, uh, Deb said that she's watched the original at the beginning in 2003. Very nice, very nice. Deb, what do you think of the beginning in 2003? Because this up there is this actually for some reason kind of shifted my ranking a little bit. Like it kind of jolted a couple others
Yep,
because this gave me and like
me too.
it kind of gave me what I was feeling for some of the others. Anyway, but this right here, now this isn't necessarily like this didn't do what 2018 did for Halloween. Like 2018 was like similar flavor. Let's go back and do a very similar vibe to the similar movie. Let's throw in a ton of Easter eggs. This movie is truly a love letter to 80s horror using Leatherface as a vehicle, in my opinion. Because like again, I'm trying to stay out of the spoilers, but the cinematography, the storm on the horizon, the shots that they linger on, just the carnage candy, the brutality, the you know this movie goes for it. Like it doesn't quite hit every single mark of the 80s horror movies, but it's a roller coaster ride. It's rock and roll. It's like I said, it's a short movie and it's fun from start to end, in my opinion.
And for me, I see a lot of similarities to Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. This is probably the goriest, if not second goriest in the franchise. Like it's either the beginning or this. I don't know which one. I would say there's probably more
Beginning.
blood in this, but man, that skinning scene in the beginning, whew, 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 whew.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna say the
Um,
beginning.
but it feels a lot more like the remake in the beginning. Like I don't know what it might be the way it was shot and the cinematography and the music that was used. It just feels a lot more like those two than it does any of the original lineup for better, probably for better. Because there's no way to mimic what the original was. Like at this point, that
Right.
art is gone. It's long
Right.
gone, and it sucks because I feel like there's never going to be a follow-up that deserves the seat next to that first one, and that's the hard point to make. Like
Well, the problem
that
with it too
movie
is
is a standalone greatness. Like it,
yeah. Well, the problem with the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I mean, it shot in '73. It's a product of its time.
yep,
You know, the film. I mean, there was higher budget films that look better. I mean, look at The Exorcist, and Jaws came out a couple years later, and you know, look at even 1960s Psycho is you know,
yeah,
it's black and white, but it looks better. Like it's clear image. It just
yeah.
you know, but it's a product of its time, and I think that the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre needed to be a product of its time. And I understand the politics stuff. Whether if some people hate that, I completely understand. For me, the original, even the second one, has to do with what's going on in the current climate of America. And that's just it is what it is. You know the the politics, the situations that are happening to the family in the first movie is just as big of a character as the house, as the family, as Leatherface. Like it's because it's all in the background of it. It's everything that
I mean,
drove the kids there, that made the family the way they were. So not necessarily that this movie is the exact same thing, but the way this movie, I don't know, for some reason, like we were talking about, it's woke, it's anti-woke, but it balances and it teeter-totters so well that you can
yeah.
kind of make it work whichever way you want, and you can read into a lot of different stuff. I just think it does a great job, and most of the time I hate messages in movies because I get it. Like unless I hate wokeness or anti-wokeness in movies that don't, like I said, use it organically or if it's not written well, it's not written well, right? If it stands out like a sore thumb because you just wanted to hit these bullet points of your own biases or opinions or whatever, I hate that. I just do. It's just not earned. It's terrible. But I think this movie does a good job. And like I said, rock and roll from beginning to end.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really excited to have it like part of the franchise. I don't know. I've got a little bit to compare it to Halloween Kills. And I know that's going to get a little bit rough, and it's going to be like, why would I like it if I'm going to compare it to that a little bit? But yeah.
See,
I'll save that for when we get to.
I like what Deb says about being a product of its time and how it was a groundbreaking film, and maybe not as personally impactful in terms of scary, but I'm glad that people today that just now visit a film that's 40 years old, whatever, however old, can still enjoy that. That's pretty awesome. That says a lot. I mean,
The Hitchhiker, his message alone is no. The automated murder's not good. The sledgehammer's better because it put people out of jobs. Like that is like within the first 15 minutes. That's the thing. The grave robbing is happening as a result of this, which it's kind of weird that we didn't get more of the grave robbing in the movie, now that I think about it, or any of the later movies. But it's a product of all that's going on there.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say, like, this will be spoiler free as well. Like, this is gonna be more of a rant. Like, we didn't actually start with anything that was, hey, we're gonna spoiler free this. But another thing I want to say is spoiler free that nobody's talking about, and I actually tried to message a few guys that are way above us, obviously, but like a lot of people are complaining about Old Man Leatherface. Like, they were talking about, like, I just saw before I went live, they were talking about a sequel to this movie, and everybody's like, or the director has great ideas for a sequel, and they're like, well, I wish they would have used them in this movie. And yeah, I know, yeah, but and then they're like, well, he goes to a nursing home. The defense I have for Old Man Leatherface is, if you remember, and I've been posting this everywhere I see it, because this is like it's kind of an annoyance, but it's kind of my little like claim to fame. I'm like, but look over here. The fact that Grandpa in the original movie was said to be 124 years old, and he's still living off like being a vampire, right? So there's a little bit of supernatural in the family. So, like, if you wanted to play this game, if Leatherface was really in his 70s, mid 70s, he might actually still have the strength of a 40, 45, 50-year-old. Up until my dad was in his 60s, I still wouldn't mess with him. Like, he was still like very, very strong. So I get it. I don't like seeing any of my, like, Indiana Jones. I don't want to see him at 85 years old trying to do flips and kicks and whips, and I don't want to see it. But for me, you can make this work based on that first movie that gives you the foundation it gives you a bit of a cop-out for it, a bit of a reason.
This is some of the stuff that I want to get into, but I got a spoiler for it.
Okay, so. Well, do you have anything else spoiler-free that you want to just say? Anything else? Like, I just thought the shots are great. The guy who plays Leatherface is great. Didn't like the mask in the beginning, but it works because it's organic and it's creepy. It is a little woke. It is a little anti-woke, but it makes the movie more enjoyable. Like, you don't get a whole lot of character development. It's just enough to either love them or hate them, and just let's see what happens. The gore is fantastic. Like, what more do you want?
The movie is fun. The movie is ridiculous. The movie makes no sense, but makes sense. It is a very short run time. And if you go into it not expecting the greatness that is the original or 2003, or if you're the biggest fan of TCM 2, if you understand that it's separated from that, like, everything is, it's a different time. It's going to be okay. You're going to have more of a good time with the movie. And if not, that end credit scene sets up for maybe more of what you want later, to be honest, which I think should lead us into the spoiler territory.
Okay, yeah, I think that once again, I just want to say I think it's a love letter to 80s horror movies that uses Leatherface as a vehicle to get there and does a very good job entertaining you along the way. I think there are better movies
That
in the franchise, obviously, but I think this is one of the more entertaining ones. And it's rewatchable. I've already watched it 3 or 4 times.
it's on
Babysitter to
Netflix.
go. It is on Netflix. It is on Netflix. Babysitter to go to the theater. I didn't get to go see I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. I've got $100 or more than that of figures sitting over there, and I own all the movies but the new
Man,
one. And I didn't go get a babysitter to go see it. So
my
I don't
man,
even know if I'll get to go see
my
the
man,
Batman.
my man. Ghostbusters was the best thing to happen, and it has no business being that good.
I know. I can't wait to
Absolutely
watch
not.
it. It's got to be soon. I've got to watch it soon. But yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers now because I don't know how other than I loved it and it's a blast and it's shot well and it's better, way better than I expected. I don't know what else to say without just start diving into this. I will say that the chainsaw might as well have been a lightsaber because that thing is
Hold on,
just
hold on. I got some spoilers for that. So yeah, let's let's do this.
they
And I want to
they
start
don't
with the
make things like
chain.
they used to.
I want to start with the chainsaw.
All right,
I'm starting it. I'm starting it right now.
spoilers
The
bound.
chainsaw. The chainsaw. Okay, so he digs it out of the wall, right? Well, everybody's like, how did it just fire up? How did it just fire up? Well, if you're like me and you have to watch these movies kind of quietly because you have a toddler in the house and they're asleep, you have closed captions on. It literally says when she's hiding in the room, and he takes the chainsaw out and you hear him tinkering. He's working on the chainsaw and it says you can hear gasoline being poured. It says gasoline in chainsaw. So
I don't know
he's
how people
pouring
didn't
it
get
in there.
that.
He's working on it. So if you miss that, turn on closed captions. They did cover that. And if you listen closely, you can hear the swoosh of gas out of a gas can. You can hear him tinkering with
Right.
wrenches. So he knows how to work on small engines and repair it. Why it was built into the house, yes, that was stupid, but also made an entertaining movie for us. So, sorry, had to get that off my chest because I've seen too many people talking about that, and it just drives me batty because you just gotta open your ears.
Yeah,
I feel better.
it should have been in the floorboards or something, but I gotta say I love the shot is a very
The
Jack.
tension there.
Well, and it's like Jack from The Shining when he's hitting the door and you see the camera swing forward, swing back, and it's just that intensity that you see. It reminded me of The Shining in that, and I did really like that. And Jabari says, was it a John Woo film or a TCM movie? We're gonna get into it, man. It's something. I will say um, I got most of this is positive for me. Like I love this movie from start to finish. There's a couple dumb things. Number one is the chainsaw. It is a lightsaber. When he rolls up into the bus, I haven't had time and I don't have the software to do it, but when he rolls up into the bus and he fires up that chainsaw, I want the Darth Vader sound going off with the lightsaber and because it reminds me of the end of Rogue One where Vader rolls up and like all the rebel troops are standing there and all the lightsaber lights up and he just starts killing people. That's exactly what it reminded me of. And then
I
he's blocking gunfire with it. He's whipping it around. He's throwing it
so
when he chucks it at the car, dude. I was like, yeah.
So this saw for Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 was referred to as Excalibur. So to me, when he pulls it out of the wall and this chainsaw can't be killed and all that, to me that was Excalibur. I was like, he yeeted the chainsaw to the SUV. Dude, he yeeted a sledgehammer into a chest. This man is the king of throwing crap. He took out ankles with that chainsaw.
I did pause that. The handle hits her in the torso. Because I wanted to take a screenshot, but you can't do that on. But anyway, if you pause it just right, you can see the dummy going, and you can see where it hits her. But yeah, the chainsaw dude, when he whips that chainsaw and he hucks it at the SUV and runs off, I was like, I just love this freaking movie. When he gets it later and he chucks it at her feet around and I love that it's the same chainsaw in the first movie. I love that it's kind of stumpy, right? So when you have shots with him, it keeps him in frame, right? It just fits him a little bit better, and it keeps it more like your average chainsaw. Like, I don't know, it just like what a poor dude would have in his shed, right? Like, the chainsaw. The thing I hated the most was like the chainsaw going through the floorboards, and then like you see the big old 2x4s, the floor joists, and it's just like wonk, 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 and it's coming after her like the shark in Jaws, and then like it hits the pipe, and then the poop comes on her, which I did laugh, but like you're not just gonna instantly cut through a pipe. Like, I don't know if my chainsaw sucks this much or this chainsaw is just this awesome, but
No, chainsaws aren't as strong as they make them out to be in movies.
yeah.
They can still cause damage, but all the damage they've caused throughout this franchise is next to impossible without some heavy modification.
Yeah, he had a shotgun wound in the left shoulder. I can't read it because your shirt, man. I'm sorry. I can't. There you go.
Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah.
Across the ground. Like,
so on this,
the left shoulder, Blade was able to slide it across, but was able to slide it across. I don't know. Like, a lot of the, like I said, he got shot a couple times in the tummy. He got a glancing shot in the shoulder. I mean, yeah, he would be more hurt than what he was, but at the same time, like, I just buy it.
Real quick. So this is where I'm going to get in my Halloween Kills territory. Halloween Kills. So, Halloween 2018. Gordon Green. We're going to take it back to the basics. And then Halloween Kills makes Michael unkillable again. This movie makes the original Leatherface nearly unkillable. The shotgun blasts that he took, the uppercut with the chainsaw, I mean, he could survive that. He might have some injuries, but he could survive that. All those shotgun wounds, though, he would be down. Like, pistol, maybe you could still walk it off. Shotgun, I don't care if it's buckshot or not. No, you are down. Maybe if there's some PCP involved, but no, you're down. You're down.
Yeah, I think he got shot
so to
twice.
Me,
I want to say he got shot here and here. So, like, I know he got shot in the shoulder, but it wasn't enough. Like, and it was at a far enough range where I was like, I gotta, you know, I mean, we're watching a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, right? Like, I had to detach a little bit, but I still bought like.
So that's one thing that I wanted to touch on with my own hypocritical view. But nobody said, hey, we're going to make this Leatherface. I mean, it's supposed to tie to the original movie, but nobody said we're going to take it all the way back to basics, because if that was stated and he survived those gunshot wounds, I'd have been pissed, like I was with Halloween Kills, because, we're taking it back to basics. And, you know,
that was the biggest thing, too.
Yeah. I can work with it in this movie. I cannot work with it in Halloween Kills, just based on that simple message. If Gordon Green and them had been like, no, it's its own thing, we're going to have fun with it, instead of we're taking it back to basics, I'd probably have a much better time with Halloween Kills, to be honest.
Well, and this is something I wanted to talk about too, because it's been going around that you're hypocritical if you hated Kills but loved this movie. And my defense was the exact same thing you just said. I said, look, the flavor of the formula, the DNA from the original movie to 18, you were on this path, and then all of a sudden you went yoink. This one was like, hey, this is going back to the original. You didn't know a whole lot about Leatherface. Grandpa's 124 years old. These dudes are whacked out. Like, and you kind of have to suspend disbelief anyway, because, like, really, a 75, 80-year-old Leatherface, like, really? Like, you know what I mean? You have to, like, go into it knowing that this is for nostalgia. This is to have a good time. And I think that's what it did. I think that it's not hypocritical. I think because Kills shifted so hard, if you didn't like it, I get that. Like, because it's, I mean, you can go wild and crazy and cuckoo, and, like, he could have had a bus scene, or, you know, the firefighters or whatever. But I think that's the difference. And I think you're right. I think there is a difference. I think it had a troubled production. It went to Netflix. It had less of a budget. Like, it had less hype. Like, I think there's a lot that goes into that. Yeah. But hang on, Jabari, he's 70, 80 plus year old man, survived all this injuries. Water into the car, full body woman out of the
Yeah,
car and
he
decapitated her.
he had some Hulk type strength, which again I didn't absolutely hate. But then again, I think that's because I've been. This is another aspect that I feel way more related to the reboot and beginning is his strength. Like he doesn't seem this strong in any of the original films. One, two, Leatherface. I mean, maybe 3D. He's got some strength, but he doesn't go that hard with the strength. I mean, in 3D, he gets the officer on the floor and he's beating his head in, but it's taken more effort out of him than it is in this movie. But again, that movie's not connected to this one. So I can see why somebody would call BS on it, but personally, I'm able to suspension of disbelief and be like, okay, I can work with this. Like, and again, so I understand where my hypocrisy comes in on this, but I also have arguments for why I feel this way about this versus Halloween. And that's another thing. If you brought in another Friday the 13th, you can, that's, if another Friday the 13th ever happens, you can do anything with Jason, and 90% of the fans will be like, okay. Just because, I mean, he's been undead, he's been living creature, he's been in space. Like at this point, it doesn't matter what you do with Jason. It's just Jason. With Leatherface, it was a risk. Do I think it's the best movie that will be in the franchise? Absolutely not. But it makes sense. It works.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think this is using a vehicle, Leatherface as a vehicle to make a great horror movie. He had Jason / some Michael aspects to him when he was like there and not there. Like
Yeah.
boom, he's there at the window. Boom, he's there at the top of the steps. His strength and everything else. But I also think like go back to like Halloween 2 where he's talking about the unconscious mind of a person. Like if Leatherface maybe is simple, he's very driven. You know, like once he's snapped, like maybe his humanity / cares just went out the window, and you know what I mean. If you just lash out somebody in a rage,
So
I buy it.
on that, if you think about it, like he was so driven that when Sally walked into his room and was like, "You don't remember me," he didn't care about her. He didn't care that she was in his house. He was like, "You're not a part of the problem that I'm trying to deal with," which that's the driven thing. And that scene for me actually made me respect the movie a whole lot more. Like she walks in, I mean her characterization was stupid and kind of a waste, and I am a little upset at that. But the fact that he looked her in the eyes, didn't care about her presence, and just walked right past her showed that he wasn't out to just kill anybody and everybody. He was out to get those responsible for his caretaker's death. That's yes, they did.
I
They
mean,
did
basically,
something that made a story.
yeah, basically his mom. Yeah, let's just fly through the movie real fast, just so that we don't miss anything. Right? Traumatized
No,
kid, survived school shootings with her sister, who's on YouTube or whatever, with a guy that's also a cook that's on YouTube, his girlfriend, and that's pretty much it. They're in a car. They're going to gentrify this Texas town that's dying, Arlo, Texas. They show up. They try to kick this old lady out of the house. She has a heart attack and throws up, which was awesome. It gets carried out. Leatherface picks her up. They get in the van. The fiance gets in the van, and away they go.
this scene, when they're getting her out, when they're trying to get her out, and she looks up the stairs and says, "Baby, I'm okay. Go back to your room." Like
Mm-hmm.
that is where the tension in the movie for me started. Like you could tell he was her protector and he was making sure that everything was okay. She dismissed him. And I think that part of his, at least I see it as part of his reaction, is that he didn't do anything there. So he's just going to go nuts and kill everybody. I have a feeling he's got like a regret aspect. Sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. So they're in there. She dies. He tries. I like that he's trying to mess with the tank and everything, and then she's like, don't go into my room, and she dies. Oh crap, she's texting her friends, the fiance gal. Uh, the sheriff gets all like angry with him. He grabs his arm and snaps his
And
forearm. I thought
snaps it.
I once again very Michael Myers Halloween 4-esque, the thumb through the forehead. I did think that was a bit much. I will say, like, yes, there is some suspension of disbelief with strength and some other stuff going on. Like, to break somebody's forearm with nothing but pressure and then stab him with the forearm bone, I was like, tibula, fibula, whatever. Or no, I'm sorry, ulna. Excuse me, ulna and radius, right? Anyway, um, it was a good scene, right? And then the driver gets shot. They get into a car accident. He hauls the body out and cuts the face off, cuts side slits, and puts the face over his ears while this gal's being quiet, trying to get on the radio for help. The tension right there was really good. You knew she was going down, but it was awesome.
I want to state that in all the promotional image, which I found, okay, so the promo images were released early because I believe it was Party City accidentally leaked the masks that they're going to get for Halloween time this year by Ruby's, which is the mask. So that's why they went ahead and aired all the production material with the mask. Now, when it's revealed okay, I hated the mask when I first saw it. Like, in all the photos and everything, I was like, that doesn't look like a cool Leatherface mask. That doesn't fit. But after watching this movie and seeing how he gets it, that it's his mother's face, well, his mom, for lack of better verbiage, it's like he is taking on her. He is doing his best to make her revenge, and he's in mourning. So that kind of sad look, like, oh my God, it makes it haunting. If you take it out of context, it's not as creepy. In the context, holy crap, that look is incredible. I honestly think it's up there in my favorite looks because it just worked for the movie. I'm with you. I can't explain it.
Later on in the movie, when he's about to kill the older sister, and he, like, I can't remember what happens, but he it's a good shot from like low to high, and he like wonkas, and like the face shifts, and like his whole body kind of comes back into fight mode. I love that shot. It's probably my favorite shot in the entire movie. I just love the way that mask shifts on him, and he just is like, huh? I just love it so much. But anyway, so yeah, that girl's moving around. Should have lasted longer than she did. I like her. She had a Samara Weaving kind of feel to her, right? The babysitter and whatnot. I like that she's calling in. He's wearing her face, so it gives Sally something. Like, it gives the gas station guy something. I like that when the mom's face is removed and everything, she gets sat in the cornfield, very reminiscent of the original movie, the beginning, right? The grandfather on the grave. Very cool, very, very creepy. I love that. I shall not fear evil, or whatever that was, right? Because it kind of felt like a little bit of a Texas Chainsaw callback to where they use fear, right? Wait, which one am I thinking? They use fear. Next Gen, excuse me, I'm sorry. Whatever it was, there's a callback to that kind of that fear thing. No. Well, and a little bit like the Lord of the Harvest, right? The second one, Texas Chainsaw 2, is like, I shall fear not. Bubble. Anyway, I just like that Texas Ranger once again. Texas 2. I'm stretching a little bit, but I just like that it works. Sally kind of moves the plot forward a little bit, kind of has a little bit sidetracked what's going on. Maybe she'll help out, maybe she won't. And then we go back to the town, and then when they're rummaging through the house and they find the deed, and you find out that the good guys, what most movies would think that to tell you is the good guys, that they actually were trying to kick this lady out of her house, and she died because they got her all upset. And then Leatherface, you see that huge meat cleaver in the block, right? And then he goes out, and then he comes back into the room when the pans are making noises. The meat cleaver's gone. And then boom! And you think he gets his throat slit, the door swinging in and out, and you see Leatherface back there, and he just falls to the floor. I love that scene.
Real quick, as they're digging through the house looking, before he gets them, in that frying pan hanging, it's that stainless steel frying pan, you can just barely see the Leatherface mask, and that, Ooh, that the tension is so high in this movie, and
It is, dude.
I can't believe I'm saying that for a 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Like that whole kitchen scene, the way the door was just swinging, the way that you're not sure how he took him out entirely, but you know he's done, which he's not. But it just, God, it was so, sorry.
I love it. No, and that the door like them lingering on the door and then on the blood makes you feel like that scene's done. So she runs upstairs to hide, and then later on he gets up and goes out, and that's when the military dude. We did kind of skip past
Richter,
the Richter. We did skip past him and Lily.
the auction.
Yeah, we skipped past the auction. They had that moment we talked about earlier where him and or Richter and her have that communication, that really nice. I see your point. I see your point. How could we grow together? Like it's a mutual respect, and they create a quick friendship. It's just a nice little character spot, right?
The,
And it makes you
world
care
needs
for him.
more of that right now. The world needs a lot more of that scene right now. Like,
It really does. Like, and that's why if you dig into this movie, yes, there's a lot of this side and there's a lot of this side. But there's some good little like in betweens too. Like sometimes guns don't work if you don't know how to use them. Sometimes guns save your life. Sometimes guns end lives. There's everything in this movie. You take it however you want. But in some scenes, it's very clear that we can grow together if we just use everything we have and actually come to a better understanding of it.
I just want to thank whoever wrote that scene, because I think that the conversation and the emotion between Lila and Richter was so perfect that it didn't need more. Like most movies with a scene like that, draw it out. It's like its own 15-minute segment that you snooze past. It was a quick, like 2.5, 3 minutes, and it was just enough for you to understand. And if you don't understand, I'm sorry to say this, you're not paying attention.
Well, or you'll never understand, and you're only going to ever think you're one side.
Yeah.
Hang on. I like the door swinging scene. Go ahead.
And they're going out into the sunflower field at night. Yes. So when Sally shows up on the scene. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Once again, it did feel a little bit like a 2018 Halloween where she rolls up on the bus. Or she doesn't roll up on the bus when Hawkins rolls up on the bus. But I'm just saying it's a good shot. I liked it. But anyway, so the guy that gets his face, you end up, he's walking down the street. Richter's coming up behind him. Are you okay, buddy? Turns around, face is there. Another good character moment for Richter where a guy who he really didn't get along with very well. They had some heated tension there. All of a sudden, he's like holding his hand. He's comforting him. He's there for him. And then he grabs his pistol and he goes after Leatherface. He tells that other gal, hey, get back on the bus. Keep everybody on the bus. He goes after Leatherface. Dude, every single time I've watched this, I watched it 4 times now. When he goes up there and she's underneath the bed and she moves the mirror with her foot just so subtly so he can see that Leatherface is behind the door, and they start fighting. And Richter gets hit in the chest by he gets jabbed by the mini sledgehammer and goes back. And then he comes back at him again. They tussle, and then when that leg gets bent in, and he holds his leg back, steps back a little bit, and then just gets mean and jumps at him again. I thought every single time I see that, I'm like, that dude is a warrior. Every single time I see that, and then even as he's losing, he goes for his keys, and just the subtle way that he's reaching out to her, and then all of a sudden, whack, and you just see everything go. I mean, it's great, man. It's great. Leatherface actually had a decent fight. I love it. I love it.
That scene too. I mean, when she first moved her foot out, I could have sworn that Leatherface, the way it's shot, it looks like Leatherface noticed her foot. And maybe he did. Maybe he was like, I know she's there, and I'm just gonna bide my time with it. It felt like he noticed, but I also feel like he's so unhinged. If he would have noticed, he would have killed her right there.
Yeah, I don't think he did. But anyway, then he goes and gets the chainsaw. First time I watched it, I knew that he was working on it, because otherwise I was like, this is just too stupid if he's not. So then she's like ninjaing down the steps, and then then he throws the mini sledgehammer and hits her, and
Dude,
she goes flying back into the floor, and then he goes pieces out and gets the chainsaw.
that when
I love that he used his original, like he uses the meat cleaver, he uses the sledgehammer, and then he goes for the chainsaw. I just love how it goes back to like the butcher mean, like I
yeah,
just love it how it goes back to that. I just
it's
think, yeah, I love it.
and the fact that he doesn't, I don't know. I feel like it was so well thought out with like, okay, I mean, yes, again, suspension of disbelief. He chucks a sledgehammer at her chest and she goes through these old rickety stair floors. That is just a brutal scene. Like, yes, it's Avengers level pain, but at the same time, I mean, she wouldn't be getting up if that was a legit thing. If Sledgehammer comes at you with that much force, you're not standing back up. But
But like I said,
it was
I paused it.
awesome.
The handle hit her, and so I mean, yeah, it would hurt. But at
Even
the other side of it, on the other side of it, dude's got a chainsaw, and you just watched the other guy's head get caved in. You literally have so much adrenaline. I would hope that you'd be able to move. Otherwise, you literally are going to sit there and take.
well, so the way the scene is, it's meant to be that the impact that hit her is what made her go through those old school floorboards that are like that thick. So, I mean, you may not have any ribs left. They might be the
Right.
consistency of like flour.
Yeah, and this was a dumb scene that I just hated the chainsaw through the floorboard. It looks cool. Once
Yeah.
again, it's a great slasher trope kind of thing. It's
Um,
just dumb. She comes out of
I
there. The
have to
sister
say,
saves her at the very end, and then they go into the
I
bus. And then this is where the movie goes to 20.
time out. Go back to the floorboard. So with the floorboard, the first time I watched it, I was like, really, this is what we're doing? Like, that was the first time I felt taken out of the movie. And it gets worse. It looks bad CG. Like, you can tell. It's rough. Now, also knowing I've been around a few chainsaws, I've used them. I do know that they can cut through certain things like butter, but those old floor joists and that
Right.
cast iron piping, no way. Um, that said, it was the second time I watched it, I didn't really have a problem with it. So if you do enjoy the movie, I guarantee that that's going to be the scene that takes you out of it.
Right, and that's the thing that sucks. There's a couple scenes in it that take you out, but I boil them up to being nitpicky because the story progresses just as fine as if he would have just been like stomping at her and like chasing her under the floorboard without the chainsaw. The her getting out of there and freaking out still works. Like it doesn't rip. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't actually like shift the movie at all. So I just let it happen. Yeah, it's dumb. Get better on the next one. But when they go into that bus scene and everybody is so like that one gal's still in shock or whatever. She hasn't told everybody. She should have just left. They all should have just left. Um but oh no, they couldn't because the keys. They didn't have the keys. So yeah, get
Yeah.
everybody back on the bus. Richter should have given her the keys right then and there, but he was too like I'm gonna go handle my business. So they go into
Yeah.
the back. Now there should have been an escape emergency hatch in the back. So like this is a little dumb, but at the same time it's so awesome that I don't care. He gets up on the bus, slowly work they work the gal that was told originally to get back on there slowly goes back and he goes into the curtains and try anything and you're canceled, bro. And he just gets like just right in the chest and just starts going through everybody. And it's gory and it's nasty and it's rock and roll and I freaking love it.
Yeah, this scene, I I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who's in charge of this scene. I don't know if it was in the first batch of writing, second rewrite, if it was the new director that actually wound up directing the film entirely, the original. I don't know. Whoever it was, you're brilliant. This scene, I don't care if you hate the movie. That scene is going to go down in horror history. It just is. Like
It's
it's
the first time you really get an actual massacre in a Texas Chainsaw
yes,
Massacre. That I mean, there's
yeah,
more massacres because there's a lot of graves, there's a lot of bones, there's a lot of death going on, but this is one where there's like the massacre is right here and now. Like we're making up for 40, 50 years of no Leatherface. He's making it all up in one day on this bus. And then when he's done going through everybody and they get into the bathroom and then he's like carting through the door, it felt very like Michael Myers / it felt like Jack Torrance from The Shining again, where he's like looking through, he's reaching in to get in there and she stabs him with the corkscrew from the beginning. They climb out of the skylight and then they're running away. And then, well, actually, you know what? We actually fast forwarded past the silhouette of him where the bus is driving by and he's there in the rain and he takes out the tire, the bus driver comes out, the head comes on. That was a really good scene. I didn't want to get past that, but I just love that. That shot was great.
Yeah, it was.
And then Sally shows up, puts them in the back of the car. She goes upstairs to Leatherface. They have their moment, which is kind of, I completely understand if you hate it. To me, it's kind of neutral. She's very, very obsessed her whole life. She became a ranger. She chased him. She tried to probably make up for, she tried to be the justice of whatever. And then he's just doing his thing where he's like, don't cross me, I won't kill you. And goes after them. And then all of a sudden she comes off firing, and once again, kind of reminded me of Halloween Kills, where that girl that disappeared comes out of nowhere, can't hit anything.
Yeah. When, again, I just have to comment on this one, Sally Leatherface in Leatherface's room. From the angle of bringing Sally back made absolutely no sense here because it felt like she was useless. But from the Leatherface angle, it's awesome to see, in my opinion, that he's so focused and he does have enough control that he was like, you are not the objective. I mean, don't be here when I get back, but you are not the objective. This is what I'm doing, and then I want to come home. Like that, that's what you see in that scene. And so from the perspective of, let's bring back a legacy character, garbage. From his aspect, fantastic, in my opinion.
Right. Well, and I like that it flips the script. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, man, what a way to treat this legacy character, because once again, she goes at him, she hits him once in the arm, a glancing shot. He runs away. He comes back, he blocks one, and then he just stabs her. Like, she goes for the knife. Nope. I love that he grabs the shotgun from behind to where she can't cock it. I thought that was really cool. And then he just right in the stomach, lifts her up and throws her in the garbage. I love that it's like a lot of people are upset about her legacy character. Here's my defense. Now listen up. My defense for this is Sally is one of the original final girls of all time. She is. But she is a final girl that did not develop, did not overcome. She is a final girl in the fact that she is the last to die. She is nothing special to this franchise, really to the original movie, other than some great acting and some trauma at the end of that first movie. In my opinion, she does not have the Jamie Lee Curtis. She does not have the Sidney Prescott. She doesn't have that status. Like, I'm sorry, and I understand that people want something special. I like that this movie was like, it says, like, you might pursue this your entire life and fail and get thrown in the garbage. The biggest problem I have with this whole scene is that she's still alive 5 minutes later. Lame.
And here's where I'm going to flip what I said earlier. Every time I watch this movie, I am happy that they didn't go the exact same route and she winds up living, and then you get the next movie and she's there, and then you get the next movie and she's there. Because that would have been exhausting. So personally, do I think that the movie could have done fine without her? Absolutely. Do I absolutely hate that she's there? No. Do I think it was just kind of, meh? Yeah. I'm happy that since they brought her back, they did something different than Scream or Halloween, or, she's not going to live for another 18 fucking sequels. Like, that just makes me happy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Well,
I've seen enough porn to say that.
I just hate that she's still alive 5 minutes later. She's dead. She's dead in a minute and a half. She went from stomach to chest. Like, she's dead. Don't run, it'll haunt you forever. I get that. It's a bit of a message. Same thing earlier with the guns thing. Respect guns, know about guns, hate guns, whatever it is. You try to use it and can't use one. you're in trouble. She tries to fire at him earlier, it doesn't work, right? Um, or maybe that's in a minute. I can't. No, or it was earlier. The sister comes and saves her right in the car, right? Is that how that works? Now I'm fuzzy
No,
because the sister
no.
wrecks and gets stuck.
Yep.
No, they both wreck. God dang it! I'm sorry. This little spot, I'm fuzzy.
So they both wreck, and then the little sister Lila. I'm starting to think that I'm wrong on the name now, but it sounds right. The older sister's like, you need to go. I'm gonna die now. He's gonna kill me. That's just how it is, because she's got this thing stuck in her leg. She can't get out. So she goes, and then Leatherface shows up, and the older sister's like, I'm sorry for what we did to your mama. That wasn't right.
Right.
And then the little sister comes back with Richter's gun, but
That's right. I'm
doesn't
sorry. I
know
skipped
how
ahead.
to control it. And it clicks because it's not loaded. And she drops it and runs, and he chases. This scene, I don't care. This scene is great. The way he chases her into the street and catches up, and that like hulking down, and you notice when she rolls away from the saw, he kind of looks for a second like, huh, I wasn't expecting that. And then he starts going again. Now, granted, when Sally shoots from across the trash, it was kind of like, oh, really? But I mean, whatever. And that's how the little sister gets another weapon, because she's all, you can't just let him go and leave. You gotta go after him, or I'll haunt you for forever. And then she throws out her shotgun, and I'm assuming dies. I hope, because if I'm wrong, I'm gonna eat my words that I said earlier about I'm glad that they killed the legacy character to not pull a scream. But yeah,
She's dead. There's no way. Like, I won't watch the next movie if she's still alive. But yeah. Anyway, so the sister's pinned. She goes, Leatherface runs into the theater. She runs into the theater with the shotgun. Like, this is something where somebody mentioned it's kind of annoying that he's too smart, where he leaves the chainsaw revving, and then there's the bear or whatever, and then he attacks her from behind. It doesn't take a genius to know that the chainsaw is loud. She can hear you, right? It doesn't take a genius. Get over it. I get it, but it doesn't take a genius.
so I've said before that I think the original or the remake of Friday the 13th felt more like a Leatherface-esque take, because I feel like Leatherface would take a hostage and build a tunnel down under the camp and all that. That felt more real. So when Leatherface did that, I've seen a lot of people giving him crap for that. But from seeing all the movies, I think that he is capable of understanding chainsaw loud,
Right.
chainsaw trap. That's not hard.
Right.
That's not hard at all. I mean, the hand going so she can't cock the shotgun. Yes, it was a smart move, but I feel like based on the characterization of Leatherface, he's probably been around guns before and understands some of their nature. So he would know that. I've seen that argument too, and I'm like, no, these aren't hard concepts. That's why I'm okay with him. It's not like he set like a very, very, very like Jigsaw-esque trap by any means. He was just like, loud chainsaw on the ground, go over here away, wait for it to show up, attack. Yeah, works.
And I love it when he throws her down and like she just kind of succumbs to it. Like, she's just beaten. She's tired. She's beaten. She's laying there, and it all kind of goes quiet, right? She like, she accepts her fate, and then all of a sudden, like that ringing in the ears thing happens, and the sister's on Leatherface's back, and like that the screaming, the rage that she's coming out with, and the fury that she's coming out with, and then they together take down Leatherface, couple shots to the tummy, right, and then she hits him with the chainsaw. I thought the chainsaw was a little stupid. Like, it's a bit much. Like, I don't know, but it's a glancing blow and an instant hit. It really wouldn't rip through. It would just hit you. I mean, we're saying a chainsaw that was going through the floor. That's basically a lightsaber. But he goes down, and when he goes down and then he floats back up, and then the eyes move and stuff like that, man, and how the hair walks through, and then he goes underneath the water. Once again, it's kind of that Michael Myers hitting the ground kind of thing. I love that.
Dude,
I don't know. I love it. It feels like a very good
I
horror ending, but it's not.
that scene made me think of Jason going under in Freddy versus Jason at the end scene
Yeah.
where he like hits the water and you can just tell he's toast. He's like, yeah, I'm done here. Like for me, that's how it felt. It felt a little cheese with the uppercut. Like for me, I'm like, why does nobody, whenever they get this chance, why doesn't anybody go, I need to make a killing strike? An uppercut with a blunt object is not a killing strike. It could be, it could, but no. Which getting into the next scene, twas not.
Right. Well, and that's like, and Jabari's real quick. You were saying the redneck guy could have been her son extracting vengeance for her pain. I do like that. I like that idea. But at the same time, I kind of don't like kids taking up the parents' mantle. It just kind of feels kind of cheap. Like, I get it. Like, it's all in how it's executed. I would get it. But as far as like being gung ho and like, I don't know. Maybe not. The scene was corny. It was when like the sister steps into frame and she's like, "I got this,
Mm-hmm.
bro." It was kind of corny. I
Yeah.
agree with you there. But then they get in the car and she's like, I changed my mind. I'll move here. Like, why would you get in there and autopilot? Like, I'm hauling as fast as humanly possible out of there. So like, I love that they think they're safe, and then he just bashes in the window, grabs the sister, the older sister, yanks her out, and then just unceremoniously wonk, just cuts it, and then he's just holding it there, and then he does the like that slow like walk,
Yeah.
and then he does the chainsaw dance, and it cuts into the screen right there like a comic book rock and roll like Freddy vs. Jason feel. Dude, I love that ending. Like at first, I kind of hated it because I like the sisters, right? The older sister, she was annoying. She looked like an 85-year-old lady. Weird, like the curls, the shirt. I don't understand trends and style today. I still don't have style. I never have had style. So I shouldn't say anything, but that's rock and roll. That's Leatherface. That's what we're here to see. We're here to see Leatherface. This movie didn't develop enough, like, it didn't develop characters enough to where you're upset when they didn't live. You wanted them to live. Like the redneck guy, or Riker, whatever. Like, he's probably my favorite character, and he gets beast moded, but he was awesome up until he died.
Yeah, Richter and Lila made
Richter.
for my
Oh, I
favorite
can't remember their
characters, especially when like because of their scene together, like it concreted in that those are my favorite characters in the film. Besides, of course, Leatherface. After the credits, though, we get Leatherface walking up to the house from the original, which could imply that the house may be vacant, the house may have new people there, the house may still have some family of his there. So opening up that door could potentially bring back the family aspect, which, if done right, would be absolutely awesome and what everybody's wanted since since it was executed so well in the first, the second, and then the reboot and the beginning. And I don't necessarily want to put all the monkeys in the basket thinking that that's what's going to happen. I know that the director said he's already got some ideas for a sequel. I don't know. But when he was walking up to that house, I got excited.
Can you imagine if Chop Top would have been sitting there on the porch listening to the radio?
That would
Like,
have been great, but that would have implied that the second movie happened.
no, 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 no. We just say that Chop Top always existed. It would be like starting fresh with Chop Top. We don't have to say he survived the second movie. He's not a part of the second movie. He's just a part of the family now. He was always there. You could bring him back technically. He's not the same. He's not the same character at the end of the movie, but he would be a very similar character at the beginning of the movie, right? Right. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
It's like bringing back Rachel from Halloween 4. If you brought her back in Halloween Ends, she's still that character, but she didn't go through everything she went through in Halloween 4. She's still the character in the beginning, kind of whiny, wants to do her own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously she's older now and very different. Like, but you can still use the person that was there, but they just have to be a little bit different. Like, you can still use that character.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm implying like when he hears in the CP and that motivates him. Not, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see that. Yeah, 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 yeah. You could have put. Yeah, he could have been the gas station guy, and that. But yeah, my mom was chasing him for years. Like, I think the cop thing would have worked better just because it makes more sense for him to hear it over the radio and actually go get involved. Like, I think that was kind of nice to actually make Sally a ranger. You know, she could handle herself. She took her fear, her pain, or whatever, and made it something good. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I love the ending. I love this movie. Like the shots of Leatherface,
I
the
do.
here not there's that it's all the good stuff of horror slashers put into one. It's all rock and roll, and it's fast, and I hate and love the characters. Love it. Love this movie.
I I have, because of how much I enjoyed the movie, but how much I enjoy other entries, I put this one in fifth place.
Yeah, I'm not. We have more thoughts of things we want to do for the Texas Chainsaw franchise. I'm not going to rank this right now because I'm still in the honeymoon stages. And I just feel like if I say it now, it wouldn't be a permanent thing. And not necessarily that it has to be, but mine would definitely be in the tippy top. Like it's really good. Like it actually kind of shifted some of my others. Like I don't know. I don't know. I really love what they did with this movie. I understand that it doesn't quite fit everything with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with Leatherface and all that, but when it comes to horror, when it comes to slashers, when it comes to the brutality, man, this movie. I just don't understand the hate. Like if you hate this movie, you must really love that first movie, and like that's all you wanted was something that really had that same formula, vibe, bullet points, like. But like we said, I don't think you can really do that. So it was free on Netflix if you had a subscription. It's a short run time, and I just don't understand how you don't like the guy who played Leatherface because he was freaking awesome.
Yeah. No. Not better than Next Gen. God, I hope that's a joke. But
yeah, get out of here.
No, it's an extremely fun movie. And I think it really helped having such low expectations.
Right.
And I don't understand if somebody had extremely high expectations for this because of all of the news that was surrounding it. The only thing that it got that wasn't a negative was the initial poster. That was a cool poster. Like that's probably the best film poster I've seen in a while. But everything else around the movie was just like hot trash, hot trash, hot trash. And then we got a movie that wasn't hot trash. So I don't understand. I think everybody is so up in arms about either this movie is telling it from the left perspective or this movie's telling it from the right perspective, to just sit down and watch it and realize that we live in a world with both of those, and this movie happens to have characters with both of those. And also,
this movie,
you're taking Leatherface, a character that doesn't understand those kind of changes in society, and he's just put in that society. I'm good with it. Yeah. I didn't have any expectations, and I'm just learning of it being in development. Yeah, man. I mean, after Leatherface 2017, it's been hard to get anybody to want to touch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise after TCM 3D and Leatherface 2017.
Well, let's look at it, right? I mean, you have 74, right? Oh my God, like right, it's the Godfather, right? So you have the Godfather, then you have 86, and everybody across the board hated it at the time, for the most part. Everybody hated it. And then you had Leatherface 3, which also had development hell, and it just wasn't that great. So you have this constant line of suck, and then you have Next Generation, which got re-released and had all this other issues, and it sucked. And then you had the remake, which was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. Like it's something different, but it's up here again. And then you had the beginning, which dipped again for a lot of people, but not hard. And then you had Texas Chainsaw in 13, and it tanked for most people. 17 sucks. I'm sorry. If you like it, I can understand like elements why you like it and the ride it takes you on for the most part, but that last like 20 minutes is garbage. So it did this too. Like and you have Kim Hinkle came back for the fourth one. You have Toby Hooper that was there for the second one. You had some of the original guys in the reboot, and then in the 2006. This franchise is all over the place. So like, I understand going back to that first movie, and I'm one that fully believes that, you know, if you're using a franchise to get butts in the seats to get the dollar bills, then you better bring at least, if the original's a 10, you better at least give me an 8. Like, it just deserves it. That if the original's a 10, give me an 8 at least. I better get an 8. Anything else than that, it's a waste of time, in my opinion. Because if you kill the franchise, we're only going to get more crap. Like, that's just my thing. But Caleb, speaking of which, if the original's a 10, which it is, but if the original was a 10 for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what is 2022?
By definition of the first film or by my enjoyment?
Well, see, that's why I want to go like, well, there's two different things. I was going to go by, if the first movie's a 10, and that's how like the God tier, that 0 to 10, 10 would be this. And then we'll do enjoyment. We'll do, like, if the original's a 10, what is this? And then, like, out of enjoyment, what would you give it? I want two different ratings.
Okay, for the original being a 10 and this being a continuation, I'd probably go 3.5. It tries to tie into it, but unfortunately, it's too many years later. It really is. Like, trying to make that connective tissue all this time later with I hate saying it because I love the franchise dearly, but a rather failed franchise, it's really hard to make it work. I can't think of an instance where it actually has. Halloween was able to stand on its own throughout, and then they just wanted to go back to the original, and that worked because Halloween, you know, that franchise has stuck with everybody. It's not necessarily great, but it definitely didn't fail where Texas Chainsaw did. So yeah. What I say, 4, 3.5.
3.5. What would you give for enjoyment? Like, on its own, just watching
7.5.
Yeah.
7.5. Like, it's missing so much from that connective tissue angle and all that, you know, I've got to knock points off for that. Like, I absolutely have to. But I had an absolute blast watching it, and I'm trying to think of the next time I can watch it. I think I have my infusion tomorrow. I might actually watch it again tomorrow. So yeah, like I 7.5. I loved it.
Yeah, I think if the original's a 10, I would probably give this one probably a 4.5 to a 5. It's decent. I mean, it has enough bullet points. It's in Texas, yada yada. As an enjoyment, I would probably give it probably a 7.5 or an 8. Like, I just like, once again, guys, it's a horror movie. Like, it's not trying to be anything special because it just can't. Like, I think for the budget, the time, the issues it had, I think it rocked and rolled and gave me everything I want for a fun outing. Like, you know, it's like somewhere between the original TCM and Hatchet. Like, it's like somewhere in between there. Like, it's using some here and it's having a lot of fun here. Like, it's a lot easier watch than the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a lot more fun. But I will say that, like, if we have to put like, for the most part, I would say that this movie is more anti-woke than woke. I just wanted to say that because it's in Texas. It has to do with guns and not knowing how to use guns, and it has all that violence. But I do think it's a good balance of both, and I think it's a conversation piece. I think it's not being nasty to either side. You know what I'm saying? I think just with that conversation, like we were talking about, it's important to just have a conversation. So I don't think anything is offensive when it comes to the viewer. Trying to word this carefully. To the viewer, I don't think there's anything offensive. I think it's just, this is what these people believe, and this is what some of these people believe, and what happens when all this happens, and then what, you know what I mean? I think there's all over the place. I think you can read into a lot of different things, and I freaking love this movie. So, definitely a 7.5, maybe an 8. Definitely in my top tier of my favorites. God dang, I love this movie.
Yeah, I can't wait for physical media. I honestly hope that it comes in a combo pack with a digital download, and I hope they get some cool cover art and stuff because I did not expect to enjoy it this much at all, but it's already got a lot of replay value. And as I said before, this guy here, 3D, is what gets a lot of the replay value for me now. I think that this one and 3D are going to get the most replay value in my home. Now, that's not saying that they are the best because I've already given my ranking. The first one is the best. It's just hard to watch that all the time. I don't know. It's one of those movies. It just is.
I will say that real quick, just because I just want to mention this because I got to run. I got to run real quick. But Jabari says he'd never direct a reboot or remake. Fans and their politics. I will say that like Jabari, like I hear what you're saying and I agree with you, but there are ways to kind of make that work and have it be fun. Now let me give you an idea here. For the most part, the only remake I would want to do is to Gremlins. Now, if you use Gremlins and you put like an anti-gun thing in it, like set it in a place that's more left or whatever, I don't know. And if there's less guns, it makes the threat, if there's less guns in a horror movie, it makes the threat scarier, especially with little monsters rolling around, right? If you wanted to go rock and roll, like in a second movie where, you usually ramp it up in a second movie, set it in a place where there's a lot of guns, right? Like, or the character that didn't believe in guns in the first part, but now believes in guns to self-prevail or whatever. I think you can use it if it's done well.
That just made me think. That's the plot of The Rundown.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like guns.
Yeah. I mean... Well, but I mean, right? I mean, if I don't need a gun usually because nothing's really happening. But if I went through some stuff, I'd probably feel safer if I had a gun. I don't know. I'm not gonna say one way or the other. I'm just I talk about it like you're saying. You know what I mean? But I think you can use it to make the movie better if you're in a situation with less guns. If you only had like 3 critters or something like that, right? Or 3 gremlins or whatever, and you didn't have any guns, it helps, right? This is the same thing with like Alien, the original Alien, they couldn't use any guns because they're on a ship. In the third movie, they didn't have any guns. In the second movie, they had a ton of guns and a ton of aliens. So you know what I'm saying? It's all in how you use it. And if you had to use politics to help that along, I get that. Like politics, if you set it in, I don't know, England or somewhere that doesn't have guns, it's not really political, but it adds to that. You know what I'm saying? I think you can use it if you use it well, but most people today can't use it well because they have to hit you over the head with it and make sure you get their message. But anyway, I hear what you're saying, though. I had a lot of fun. I love this movie. I'm so glad we finally got to talk about it. I want to talk more Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I got to go. I'm sure we missed some things. I overall enjoyed the bejeezers out of it, and I would love to talk about this again soon. Yep. But I've got to roll. I feel bad. My bad. But
no, you're good. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I can't wait to give it another watch. I'm sure that this movie is going to come up often, probably just as often as Halloween Kills, because that's what we do with movies we enjoy and movies we hate. So, I'm excited. I say definitely go and give it a watch if you can. Use a friend's Netflix. I don't care. Just see it. And then when it comes out on physical media, if you enjoy this movie, don't use a friend's Netflix. Get it legitly. Get it so maybe the sequel can actually hit a theater. Get your Netflix subscription. Maybe if it gets a physical media, drop some bones on it and go ahead and buy it. Maybe if you use your dollars to show that this is the direction you want to go, studios listen to that now a lot more than they used to. So, yeah, vote with your dollars on this one. Personally, I can't wait for more, and I hope it gets a sequel.
Me too, man. Me too. Yeah, guys, we really appreciate you, Jabari. Appreciate Deb earlier for coming in. The world's crazy, so if you can, send all the love, good vibes, good thoughts, good feelings, good deeds, good actions you can out there, because the world's crazy right now. So send as much love out there as you can. Thanks for hanging out with us and just turning our brains off, talking about stuff that doesn't matter, but we have a lot of fun with, that brings us joy and conversation. And because the world's just so crazy. So, but anyway, we really appreciate you guys. We're out of here. Bye.
Bye.